Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to this meeting of the Swansea Bay City Deal Joint Committee on the Thursday the 9th of December 2021. First item today is apologies for absence. Alison?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Apologies from Councillor David Simpson, Maria Battle, Jonathan Haswell, Steve Wilkes and Professor Medwyn Hughes.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll record those. Are there any further apologies that anybody would like to give? No? Okay, thank you. We'll go on then to declarations of interest. Are there any declarations for today? No? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move to the minutes of the Joint Committee held on October the 14th, 2021. I've had no requests for or notifications for amendment, but I will ask if there are any. If not, I'm happy to move those as a true record. Could I ask for a seconder, please?
Yep, happy to second, Chair. Yep.
Thank you very much. Okay, can we take those then as a true record? All in favour? Yep, thank you very much. Those are agreed. And there are no actions for the Portfolio Management Office to take as a result of those minutes. Announcements, Mr. Chair. I have no formal announcements for today. We'll move then to public questions. So have we received any questions from members of the public?
No public questions received today.
Okay, no problem, thank you. We'll move then to item 6, which is the internal audit terms of reference update. So if I could hand over to Matthew Holder and Charlotte Hodge.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Morning, everyone. This is what we are proposing to deliver for the Swansea Bay City deal. It's our annual audit, which you'll all be aware that we've undertaken now for a number of years. As usual, our objective of the assurance review is to provide assurance that Swansea Bay City deal has adequate governance, internal control, risk management and financial management in place to help allow the deal to assist its objectives. We've highlighted in the scope the areas that we are proposing to look at. We have gone through these with the statutory officers. So with the governance, there's 5 areas that we will look at there, including the follow-up of previous recommendations from last year's report, looking at what the Gateway Review recommendations stated and how they're being monitored and managed, decision-making, assurance monitoring and evaluation arrangements, and to make sure that all register of interests and related parties are up to date. We briefly touched upon last year on the project management and monitoring. So we're proposing to do a bit more work on that this year, including looking at the project outcomes and the benefit realisation, while still sort of being mindful that a lot of the projects are in the early development. In terms of financial management, looking at the budgetary control, investments in the grants claim process, and finally, Chair, looking at the risk management and how proposed risk actions are being mitigated or monitored. It is proposed that once the draft report has been concluded, that this will be shared with the Swansea Bay City Deal Section 151 officer, the portfolio director, the finance manager and the monitoring officer, as has been done previously. Once the report has been approved and agreed, we will then bring that back to the Programme Board Joint Committee, and we will also bring that to the joint scrutiny as well. That should have been added into the terms of reference, but we will make sure that that happens, Chair. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Chris Moore, do you want to come in, Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Just to confirm that, as Matthew said, that we've myself and colleagues have gone through this in detail with Matt and have agreed the risk areas and the areas that we should be looking at. So just to confirm my contentment in regards to what is being proposed next year. Diolch.
Okay, thank you very much both. Are there any other comments or questions for either Matthew or Chris people would like to make? No, if not, then we'll go for the vote, please. So I'm happy to, first I better move the report formally and second it. So I'm happy to move that report. Could I get a seconder, please? Thank you, Emlyn. Can I ask all then in favour of that report, please? Thank you very much. Okay, next we'll go to item 7, which is the Gateway 5 review of the Eregin project. And if I hand over now to Geraint Flowers. Geraint, over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning all. Yes, I'll give an update on the recent Gateway 5 report on the Eregin 1 initiative. So we had a review team in on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th of November this year. It was a physical review on site at the building. It gives an opportunity to showcase the building and the work that's being done to market and enable its services. They're probably even more relevant now in a post-COVID environment with the requirements for high-speed connectivity, remote access and immersive learning experiences. First of all, Chair, considerable team effort and very, very grateful to all participants, in particular John and the team, the City Deal team for their support, but also I should mention local authority and university colleagues as well. Output of the review then, as you probably know, having seen the document, is that we were awarded a green delivery confidence, and that's based on the success of phase 1 to date in relation to all of the ongoing objectives and targets. So absolutely delighted with that. First time in 17 years that the review lead has awarded a green, and I think there's been very few greens awarded over the past few years. So number one, we're really delighted with it, and thanks to all those who contributed, huge team effort. I'd just like to draw your attention to some relevant comments taken from the report. Eregin is a clearly vibrant and well-supported facility, providing a creative hub for the local and wider community. Eregin provides the opportunity to raise the status of the Welsh language and its culture in Carmarthen and wider area, and is seen as a destination space to fulfil this objective. All tenants, including S4C, expressed the benefits of the ability to collaborate and access excellent digital and production services. And then the comments and the direction of the review team moves to what we are going to achieve as part of the Eregin 2 project. And again, to draw your attention to some relevant parts, awareness of all staff and stakeholders of the need to carefully consider phase 2 outcomes and need to bring to be in order to meet the strategic objectives in an ever-changing environment. And all interviewees were enthusiastic about the project and fully understood the vision and the need to carefully, again, to consider the phase 2 outcomes. So, in other words, delighted, net outcome there, delighted with what phase 1 has achieved, and just be very careful about how and what we do as part of phase 2, whether that requires any flexing and changing in relation to the existing business case. If you have the document in front of you, you can see that I think it's page 4 in there, outlines the review team's recommendations. And in relation to what I've just said, I'd point you to recommendations 1, 4 and 5, all of which give the same message around consideration of phase 2 objectives in a changing marketplace. And with regards to the very specific requirements of the creative sector in the southwest and in particular in Carmarthen. So notwithstanding the success of Eregin 1, which was clearly identified by the review team, next steps now for us are to further consider those changes that I mentioned. Using the evidence, so this must be an evidence-based delivery model for phase 2, gathered from our creative sector analysis work undertaken by the university, the Gateway review process itself, and also the opportunity is now afforded to us to collaborate with the local authority and Welsh Government colleagues then to maximise investment where it's most required for phase 2. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, Geraint, thank you very much for that. And yes, it is an exceptional position to see a fully green rating there. Very, very rare indeed, as you said. So absolutely well done on that. My thanks go out to all who've been involved in achieving that. If I go to Councillor Dole next, Emlyn. Sorry, Emlyn, you're on mute there.
Sorry, that's my first of the day. Apologies for that. Just a thanks, Chair, for the report to Geraint, and as you say, for that green rating. I mean, to me, the Eregin has been green from day one, and in an iconic building with an iconic concept and delivery, it just confirms there very clearly what's been achieved there. And the way that has dovetailed absolutely into the community as well has been absolutely phenomenal to see and to be a part of. And as Geraint says, looking forward to phase 2 and to delivery around that and what that brings to complete that picture there. It really is something to celebrate and to look forward to as well as we move into the second phase. Diolch yn fawr.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, absolutely agree. Yes, I think it makes it is really a catalytic investment as it's supposed to be, and phase 2 will be equally exciting, no doubt. Geraint, was there anything further you wanted to add?
No, that's it for me. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, are there any further comments or questions? If not, then again, we'll note. No, this one's for information, so we'll note that one.
Sorry, Chair, it's not for information. It has got a recommendation. It is, albeit to note it, so you do need to move second and vote.
Apologies. Yeah, okay, so we'll move that one. I'm very happy to move it. Can I have a seconder, please? Emlyn, thank you very much. All those in favour? Okay, thank you. That is carried unanimously. Okay, next then we'll go to item 8, which is the update on the changes to the Swansea City Water Digital District. Geraint, again, welcome. So if I hand over to you.
Yes, thank you. I thought it might be useful to remind the group of the intent of our innovation matrix building. So it's a building that will connect through co-location and partnership the university's research and knowledge exchange activities between staff, students, graduates, with cross-sector M&Es, SMEs, micro-enterprises, entrepreneurs and investors. So the resulting collaborations in this building will generate new graduate startups, university spin-outs, new intellectual property that leads to the creation of products, processes and services to stimulate economic development and employment. What we're looking for here is to create, again, an iconic environment that allows academia to collaborate with industry, create partnerships that are beyond the simple landlord-tenant relationship and have much wider value for the economy. We know that from the summer, joint committee approved the reallocation of funding from within the university's projects in the digital district to allow the innovation matrix to be delivered. So the purpose of today's update is to explain progress from that point. So we've been proceeding with the architectural design of the building, and we're looking to conclude that by the end of January 2023, with a planning application going in under reserve matters to the local authority in mid-February. So that process is proceeding very well. There's been a lot of engagement within the university, the departments within the university, and more importantly, with potential tenants, stroke partners who would come and co-locate with the university in the building. So we've held a number of engagement events with those tenants. Interest is, I must honestly say, incredibly high on this project. So we've got a number of partners from sort of larger enterprises down to one-man bands, all of whom are looking to sort of buy into the intent of the building. So I'm really pleased with the way that's going. The challenge for us now is to enable those partners in terms of a sort of a wider value deal for the building and for the university that creates that sort of economic value and delivers on the benefits that we've outlined. We're intending to start on site in July of next year, with the building being open and operational by September 2023. From a next steps perspective, we continue to work with and develop our very strong relationship with City and County of Swansea in terms of ensuring that the business case is tweaked and flexed to match the agreements that the joint committee have given us on funding, and to sort of note and incorporate the developing tenant strategy that I just mentioned. Also, in terms of the funding flow, the funding agreement is with CCOS Legal for final approval at the moment, and so there should be no problems in allowing the money flow to deliver the building. So really pleased with the way things are developing. Big challenge around the tenants. We've seen this before, and we've had specific experience of it with regards to the Egging project. We'll be using the lessons learned there, and sort of developing that strategy to consider tenants as partners rather than as a very specific landlord-tenant relationship then. So overall, very pleased. A lot of work still to do. The new year now will be a key point for us as we move up to that planning submission. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Geraint. really pleased to hear the changes that you've proposed there and the timeline that you've laid out. And from a Swansea perspective, I look forward to seeing the planning application come in next year. And then obviously, as you say, the delivery of that facility by 2023. So very exciting indeed, and a further good piece of progress for collaboration with Trinity in Swansea. So are there any further questions or comments for Geraint on the update? No, everybody okay with that? I think that one is for information, yes, so we will note that. Geraint, thank you very much for coming to do those 2 items. Much appreciated.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you all. Good morning to you.
Cheers. Thanks. We'll move now then to item 9, which is the quarterly monitoring and monthly highlight reports. And I'll hand over to Phil Ryder to take us through these.
Thank you, Chair. So there's quite a bit of information in the pack in relation to the highlight and quarterly monitoring reports, but a very, very quick overview of the key points contained within there. Business engagement for the City deal is ongoing, and the promotion of the City deal and its activities and its benefits are ramping up, with potentially the showcase event, which we'll speak about later on the agenda, and the engagement with For the Region events in the new year to highlight exactly what the City deal is and what the opportunities are for the region. As we've just heard from Geraint, the Phase 1 Gateway 5 review is a massive achievement and a positive outcome, receiving that green assessment rating. And it just goes to kind of reinforce that the City deal is moving in the right direction. And as Geraint has already said, the continued development of the Phase 2 delivery model is currently ongoing, and we expect an update on that in the next sort of 12 weeks, so that we can see and digest exactly what that model is going to entail. In relation to Pembroke Dock Marine, the collaboration agreement is now signed between the partners, and the schemes are further moving towards delivery, specifically in relation to the Pembroke Dock infrastructure. R&M Williams have been appointed as the contractor for the hangar annexes scheme, and formal governance arrangements are being developed and will be in place in the new year between all partners. Swansea Waterfront, the arena handover is obviously happening pre-Christmas, with acts booked in for early in the new year, and 71-72 the Kingsway construction is to commence pre-Christmas as well. And as we've just shared the update again, the innovation matrix is moving forward into design development, and with the planning application anticipated early 2022. Pentrowell, the continued design and development across all of the zones, with Zone 1 construction due to commence early in 2022, and a whole site funding appraisal is currently being completed to determine the most appropriate finance options for the whole site. Holmes's Power Stations, excuse me, finalising their funding agreements with the regional partners, and the regional fund criteria is currently being developed. Digital infrastructure, the final stakeholder workshops have taken place, and the scoping works is nearing completion to move into delivery of digital infrastructure programme. Supporting innovation, low carbon growth, are nearing completion of their resource appointments, and again their funding agreements are ongoing in relation to agreeing those with the delivery partners. Skills and Talent Project, the skills barometer to review the programme project skills is due for completion in Q1 of 2022, with work ongoing to identify the opportunities and the requirements across the portfolio. Swansea University Campuses project is in pre-delivery build-up, and we are hoping for the business case approval of that in the next 3 to 4 weeks from ministers, which will be the final business case approval from the respective governments, and the all 9 programmes and projects will then have their decisions to invest. Couple of risks and issues. The COVID impact assessment this quarter has seen fewer red risks, and that is primarily due to the elements of the waterfront nearing completion, the moving of some of the other schemes into delivery, and a number of the business cases having been approved over the summer are seeing the impacts of COVID looking more manageable now, as a kind of a new way of working is known and more accepted. In relation to project costs, that is an element of concern, but what we have agreed previously and what we will see in the next quarterly report in January 2022 is that we will have a construction impact assessment completed by each of the programmes and projects, similar to the COVID impact assessment, and it'll outline any risks or issues associated with construction issues or difficulties or costs at that point in time, and we will obviously keep that as a live active document. And the potential changes of TAN 15, the Welsh Government's planning technical advice notice in relation to flood areas of Wales, has been the proposed changes have been deferred by 18 months, which, whilst there may still be an element of impact on various aspects of the city deal, are now hoped to be a lot less likely, given that the majority, if not all, of the aspects of the delivery will be ongoing by that time. And the final point is that this month you will see from the last quarterly report that the benefits realisation forecasts are now within the pack. These will be updated on a quarterly basis and reported on an annual report. They essentially at this point in time provide us a baseline for anticipated benefits realisation for the remainder of the portfolio. They will, as I said, be subject to regular review. However, currently all indications are that the portfolio level benefits, which is what is reported in the pack this time round, those of jobs, GVA and investment, will all be achieved in line with the overall portfolio requirements and timelines. And we'll start to see from the next quarter the wider project and programme benefits included as well. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, many thanks for that, Phil. In terms of the progress, again, it's significant, and you know, in terms of allocated money, approved projects, again, I don't think there's any deal in anywhere else in Wales that can match the delivery and approvals that we have in place. I'm aware that Cardiff Capital Region have approved more projects, but not the same quantum of their available deal. And I think, you know, we should expect with a fair wind the approval of the final business case in the next few weeks, as you've said. And that will mean that nearly 99% or over 99% of the deal's funding is then allocated into projects which are in delivery, which I think is a remarkable position for us to have achieved in the last few years. So really pleased with that. And thank you very much, Phil, for the updates on all the projects. There's again a significant amount of progress there, which we should be proud of. I'll open it up. Is there anybody else who wants to comment, or has any questions for Phil on any of the items he's been through? No, I don't see any. Okay, so that was for information. Sorry, Emma, did you want to come in?
Yeah, only quickly. I echo what you say, Rob, about the progress. It's great to see. I picked up the cost, which the cost increases and the risk of the construction cost increases across quite a few of them. Did I understand that to mean that we will get a report in January on the mitigations, because I could see that being something that could become more of a headache as time goes on. It's unlikely to get less of a pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we originally proposed, Emma, is that it would have been done in the last quarter, but it was agreed with the program and project leads, because of where we are and moving into delivery and procurement activities, etc. We'd be able to give a full picture of what the impact is likely to be if we deferred it until the January quarterly report. So that'll form part of the January quarterly report, and then it'll be updated every quarter thereafter. And as you rightly say, we'll work with the programs and projects with regards to mitigation strategies, etc., and continue to act as that go-between with the respective funding stakeholders and the governments to ensure that everything that can be done to mitigate any potential impact is being done.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Phil. John?
Chair, it's probably also worth noting, following Emma's question, is that quite a few of the business cases have recently been developed and submitted. So that was with knowledge of cost increases. So hopefully there will be minimal impact on some of the ones that have been approved in the last 12 months or so. That is subject to procurement and all the different things that they have to go through. So we can't guarantee that, but we're hoping it will be less of an impact.
Great, thanks for that, John. And just final one from me, obviously very pleased to see the deferral of TAN 15, and just to update that obviously local authorities will continue now to work with Welsh Government and NRW, not just to look to evaluate and review the flood maps, but also to work on a sensible update to the TAN 15 guidance note itself, and obviously then look at a longer term plan for flood defences to deal with the climate change impacts that we know are likely to occur. So I think very, very positive step to see the deferral, to give us the time to work collaboratively with our Welsh Government to do that. Okay, other than that, thank you for that, Peter, and sorry, Phil, and we'll move on now to item 10, which is the quarterly financial monitoring report. So we've got Richard and Chris for this one. So Rich, do you want to go first?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to you all. This is the Q2 financial monitoring. So at the moment, we're looking at we're forecasting for total expenditure on the joint committee of about 865,000. So that encompasses the joint committee costs and accountable body costs of about £160,000. We've slightly reviewed the external legal advisory fees. So there's a small amount in there compared to last month. That's mainly to do with any support to support a collaboration agreement, and we'll reflect that further on further detail in Q3. And there's a slight adjustment to the estimate on the internal audit support. So there's a small adjustment there as well, so that all of that encompasses about £160,000 forecast on that. Joint Scrutiny Committee, there's about a £28,000 forecast for services to support the Joint Scrutiny Committee. The Portfolio Management Office is currently forecasting spend of about £616,000. 465,000 of that is on salaries. There is a small saving on salaries. That's mainly to do with budgeting at top of the grade, and there was a vacancy. There was a few months worth of vacancy within the PMO contributing to that and the spend. Training, there's a small saving on training there as well. There hasn't been as much training this year as they would have been hoped, mainly to do with the ongoing pandemic. There's been a reflection in the conference market and advertising budget, so there's been a significant underspend on that. That's expected to be picked up in the future years when we go back to more of a normal, go back to more normality there. So all in all, the Portfolio Management Office is looking at spend of about 616,000. Because of the way in which the city deal is structured, I have to put a provision for unwinding in. So I've done a more accurate estimate on that. So it's coming out at just about 61,000. The way in which I have to address that is I have to that's 2 years worth, so that's for last year's and this year's, and that'll be the same format going through the next 3 years of the operational budget of the city deal. So all in all, that concludes in a forecast outturn of 865,000. That's to be offset with income of 795,000. There's the partnership contributions of 400,000 included in that, and then the revenue grant contribution, which essentially is a contribution from the 1.5% top slice at 395,000. That's adjusted slightly from last quarter because it's linked to the drawdown of grant, and some of the projects have slipped marginally. They draw down into the future years. So that results in a deficit on the Joint Committee operational budget of about £70,000. But it's worth noting that that deficit is to do with the timing effect of the grant. So even though it's demonstrated as a deficit, we will support that out of the current reserve that we are holding. It's a ring-fenced reserve for the city deal. And that will it will catch up on itself in future years going forward. So taking the deficit into account, we're still looking at a year-end reserve of about 145,000. Again, just to reiterate, that's a ring-fenced reserve, and that's for the city deal for them to utilise it in future years. Moving on to the portfolio investment fund. So this has been updated off the quarterly monitoring of all 9 projects, and we currently reside in at a this is based on the 15-year outturn position, and we're looking at an investment of 1.248 billion. So we're slightly down against the original heads of terms, but considering the original heads of terms were signed up to 4-5 years ago, I think it's in a very good position. And some of the work that's going on behind the scenes is now we're in a position where nearly all the projects have been approved. We can do a formal budget revision, and then we can monitor against that formal budget revision going forward. So there'll be a lot more richer information to be included in here going forward. The capital and revenue apportionment. The City Deal grant is a capital-only grant, and there's a lot of capital pull on the City Deal projects. But there is acknowledgement that there is a revenue requirement in some of these projects, some of them a lot more than others because of the nature of what they are looking to deliver. So at the moment, we are looking at about a £55 million requirement of revenue out of that 1.248 billion. So it's about a 4% revenue requirement. So there is discussions going on behind the scenes, and there will be a paper coming forward to you in the new year to look at the principles for supporting the revenue requirement as well from the authority's perspective, and how they can manage that equally across the regional authorities. So so at the moment we're looking, it's looking quite promising. We're slightly under on the against the original budget, but I think 2% is considering what we've been through is not a bad position to be in. I'm happy to take any questions that anybody may have on any of the financials.
Yeah, thank you for that, Richard. I think 2 key messages there. I mean, obviously in terms of the first item, some of it is timing, as you said, and that'll right itself. And the second one, I think, especially given that we've had not just Brexit, but COVID since we started this journey, to be within that margin, and nearly all of the projects in delivery where we've now got a greater degree of certainty over them is a remarkable position, as you said. So again, I think we, at the outset of this 4 or 5 years ago, we'd have taken that position at this point, I think. So yeah, appreciate that. If I open it up, Chris, was there anything you wanted to add to what Richard said?
Yes, thank you, Leader. I just would like to add on that last point around the revenue contribution. I think there is a key message out there, but actually the colleagues in the other authorities are very supportive of it. We've got to have the support of the local for constituent authorities to balance this revenue out, because it's actually a matter of swapping expenditure around with the county council expenditure to accommodate it. So we have a plan, we are talking to colleagues, but getting that commitment from the 4 constituent authorities is key to delivering the city deal, which I have no doubts that we will be able to get to. It's a little bit easier for some authorities than others, depending on their own financial circumstances and their own capital programme. But there is a key message there that we got to get that commitment from the individual authorities to do that. So which is important to deliver the balance of that revenue funding. It does cause an unnecessary complication the way it's funded, but we are where we are.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And we know city deals are never straightforward. Complex is it comes with the deal, unfortunately. But yeah, as you say, I'm sure we'll resolve that one. Okay.
Yeah, the 6.51s are on board with it anyway. So we're talking with them. So we'll have a joint plan, to be honest.
Great stuff. All right. Are there any other comments or questions for Richard or for Chris? If not, again, I'm happy to move that report. Could I have a seconder, please? Yep, thank you very much, guys. And if we go to the vote, all those in favour? Thank you, that again is carried. So thank you both for that. We'll move then on to the Joint Committee Forward Plan. So, sorry, I had an interruption there. So the Joint Committee Forward Plan, over to John Burns.
Thank you, Chair. So all members, you've had the current version of the Joint Committee Work Plan in your packs. Effectively, this is a summary of key activity over the next 12 months. This shouldn't be new to you. You've probably had 3 or 4 iterations of this in the past, and it does form part of our portfolio business case as well. I'm not going to go through the detail of it, but just to cover the kind of key areas, the document covers key milestones and activity, particularly around governance, assurance, project and programme developments, particularly in relation to procurement. As we've heard, we're in delivery for pretty much everything. Monitoring, reporting, evaluation, communications, marketing, anything around legal, financial and business engagement. So that's basically a summary. It's a living document, it can evolve. So again, if any members would like to input anything to that, and we will evolve it periodically and share that with you. The intent is that every 6 months you will have an update. So this is slightly later than what we planned, but we will look to update this for our next iteration of our portfolio business case, which we intend coming back to Joint Committee in March 2022. So, Chair, that's all I wanted to cover from that.
That's great. Okay, thank you, John. Appreciate that. And as you say, it's a living document. This one is again for approval. So I'm happy to move that plan. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Ted. Sorry, Emlyn just indicated to vote or to come in? To vote. Okay, great. All those in favour then? Yeah, thank you very much. Great stuff. And then our final item for today is just an update in terms of the proposed Swansea Bay City Deal Showcase event. I'll come to you in a second, John, for a bit more detail, but just to say, again, it's been a very, very interesting but challenging journey for us to get to this very, very important point that we are, where we've nearly got all of the deal approved and into delivery. We expect to be in that position next year, and it's only right, therefore, that we hold an event which showcases not only what we've achieved and what will be delivered via the projects in terms of real delivery, but also all of the impacts that potentially will be available and all the benefits that will be available to local and regional companies as a result of those projects. So the context for next year is that whilst we would hope that we'll be in a position to hold a physical event where everybody can get together in a safe way, we will also do some contingency planning, given that we do have the COVID variant issue that is still playing out at the present time, so that if need be, we can do a hybrid meeting or a hybrid event or even a remote event if we found ourselves in that position. But all options are on the table, but I think the commitment to having an event is there, and it is the right thing that we should do that. So John, if I come over to you now.
Thanks, Chair. And just to recap on some of the points that you made there, Rob, so the event is to celebrate that we're in delivery for the portfolio. So we intend it to be March the 3rd. That's the date that we've currently got earmarked. That's obviously subject to COVID, as you've already highlighted. Also, with the election period coming up in the pre-election period in April, or end of March, April, and then into May, as long as we can get the 3rd of March set and that we can get everybody in attendance to be there, and it's subject to the COVID restrictions, we intend that to run in March. There's a fallback where we could look towards June, but that is, as I said, a fallback. And again, we are looking at various scenarios. So if we can't run a full physical event with lots of people attending in one location, we can either look to a hybrid where we could scale that back and have part at digital, or we could go full digital with the event. So all of those things are in a kind of scenario planning of the event. In terms of, we will be showcasing the projects and programs, opportunities. The key thing for me is the opportunities for the business sector. So making sure that we have opportunities to meet the teams, get updated as to where each of the projects and programs are, and the opportunity that exists for businesses to be involved and be part of the solutions that we're putting forward. So in that vein, we will look at all the primary stakeholders that we have around the local governments, health boards, universities, economic strategy board members, various other people as well, key business contacts, and then we can look at other city and growth deals and other invitees that anybody suggests. So in its kind of current form, we're looking at potentially Parc y Scarlets as a location because it's quite central to the region, and it would be in the region of 200 to 300 people invited. We are in the process of developing all the details and the logistics of that, and we'll keep board members informed of those developments. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, John. Yeah, appreciate that. So that's for noting. Happy to take any further comments if anybody has them, but I think that's pretty clear. Other than that, that concludes business for today. Can I thank you all very much again for your attendance, but also for your support and hard work over the last 12 months again. And can I wish you all a very happy Christmas and a healthy and happy 2021, and I'll see you all in the new year. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye all.
Thanks, Rob.